Hello everyone, welcome to QA Stack. Today we are going to see basic application architecture. In backend testing, it is very important to know the basic application architecture. So today I am going to walk you through two very important software architectures. First one is the monolith architecture. This is a legacy architecture which was used in most of the softwares in olden days. But now this has been replaced by a more advanced microservice architecture, which we are going to study later. So first, let's understand what is this monolith architecture. So here, this is a picture of a food delivery system. Here, the blue colored boxes represents these services. And if you observe very closely over here in this system, all these services are sharing the same app server database and they are tightly coupled with each other. That is, each service is dependent on the other service. For the application to work, it is highly essential that all the services are running fine. A service cannot be executed independently in a monolith architecture. Now, this kind of architecture has some drawbacks. So let's discuss what are those drawbacks. First drawback is that it's a very complex architecture. As the application grows bigger, grows the complexity of the system, and hence it takes more time to develop new features. Second one is development cost is very high. Now, since this kind of feature supports testing at the end of the development, hence the bug fixes cost is high, the testing cost is high, retesting cost is high, ultimately increasing the cost of software development. Then next, as I already discussed, the cost of bug fix is also high because software testing is started once the complete application is ready for testing. Now, maintenance efforts of such an application is high and it continues to grow as the size of the application increases. Even if you have to do a small change in the application, it requires the developer to have the knowledge of the entire application. And last but not the least, the scalability of such an application is very low, is very limited, you could say. Beyond the size of the server and the memory, you cannot scale it beyond a certain level. So because of all these drawbacks, this monolith architecture is soon replaced by a more competent architecture, that is microservice architecture. So microservice architecture, right now in the screen you're seeing the same system with microservices in place. So in microservice architecture, you would see different microservices are having their own database and server. So these database and server might be physically separated, physically different, or might be logically separated. But in microservice architecture, all these services are loosely coupled with each other. And these services are capable of being deployed independently in an isolated environment. This is the biggest advantage of this kind of architecture that provides a lot of scalability and resilience in the system. So let's discuss what are the benefits of using microservice architecture. As I told you, first one is the scalability. Since the entire system, the complete one system, is now broken down into smaller chunks, smaller set of services, and hence it ensures a lot of scalability in the system. Next is resilient. Now these services can be tested at different performance bars to make them fault tolerant, and hence microservice architecture is highly resilient architecture if proper level of performance testing is done. Next is easier maintenance and development. In a microservice architecture, the developer, before developing a new feature, does not need to know the entire architecture of the application. The application could be huge, but he just need to touch base the modules which are dependent on its new feature, and he can start developing. This is the major benefit of microservice architecture. Last but not the least, CI/CD implementation. Microservice architecture supports CI/CD implementation, that is continuous integration and continuous deployment. So this was the basics of monolith and microservice architecture, and why do we use microservice architecture. In the next video, we are going to see how we can perform a backend testing. What are the various components of a request? For this video, this is it. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Please hit the like button if you like the video. Please click on subscribe if you want to watch more content like this. Stay happy and stay healthy.